So the Paul brothers have created a reality TV show. Obviously, it's as bad as it sounds. These people are genuine psychopaths, and the result is maybe the worst content they've ever conceived.
Shut the f up. Where have I been on liability? Name a time. That guy was boring as f. I don't give a f who he is. That. Over it, man. What the f?
Listen, if I spawn these two, I'd probably be angry as well. And the show, it basically stays at this level throughout. They actually had a premiere in Times Square. And I think, honestly, this might have been the first reality check.
Times Square, what's up? Let's go, New York! New York City, the greatest city in the world. How y'all feeling tonight? I see y'all up front, let's go!
New York ain't been this depopulated since I Am Legend. And in fairness, that movie and this show aren't too dissimilar. I mean, they both have like a hairless, predatory demon thing.
We also beat the f out of people multiple times.
Where have I been on liability? Name a time. After I punch you in the face.
Whoa. Go f yourself.
Now, I've watched more of this show than I wanted to, and Greg Paul, he is the main character. In fact, a lot of the show kind of comes across like an open therapy session for him.
His dad never told him that he loved him. He was kind of like the least favorite child.
And don't get me wrong, he needs it. Just doing it in public is an interesting choice. And I ain't gonna lie, to be fair, all of this show is an interesting choice. For example, the way they represent Logan, it's like they're trying to convince us that he does have empathy. A lot of these clips kind of come across like parodies. There is one in particular that's gone pretty viral, and I think it speaks for itself.
I don't want to come across like a woke asshole, but like, dude, women have it hard.
Sorry, let me start that over. I'm in full support of women on their ongoing
It does just come across like a skit. There is no way that Logan Paul's authentic stream of consciousness is telling him to say this. They're just trying to rebrand him.
Dude, women have it hard.
And don't get me wrong, he does need a rebrand. In fact, even this week, there's more stuff coming out about Logan. If you want to see what he's like off camera, you only need to look up whatever lawsuit he's engaged in on that week. In fact, I'll show you a few texts from his most recent one. When Paul's friends tried to talk him off the ledge, stating, "Bro, you're a billionaire," Paul responded that he is a petty billionaire, and that CoffeeZilla would have a difficult time paying any alleged damages. Paul admitted he just wants to make CoffeeZilla suffer, along with anybody else he feels has wronged him. "I want people who wrong me to suffer while I continue getting wins on their grave."
I think this baby is going to change me. I'm really hoping this changes Greg.
As we know, this, it didn't change him. In fact, the Lunchley incident of 2024, if you don't remember, he used the birth of his child to promote a lunch product. Well, it probably proves that he's going to be like this forever, but hopefully we don't need to say the same about Greg. In the show, he is just unashamedly himself.
If I could blow up all of LA right now with a button, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Hold on, that's terrorism.
And you know what? Sometimes the worst person you know makes a great point. I'll let that one slide. But sadly, terrorism is kind of the lighter side of Greg Paul, because when they're not trying to talk him down from committing a global atrocity, well, they are basically in the other room on camera talking about how bad of a father he was.
Yeah, man, my dad was physical with us. Like, he would discipline us by being physical.
If you look at kids today, they're a bunch of spoiled little f***s. They think they should own the world and they haven't done shit. The world's falling apart because parents don't know how to be parents.
Not to sound like a woke asshole, but beating your kids is bad. This ain't even new news, by the way. Jake Paul has been pretty outspoken about this in the past. In fact, I Googled it, and he actually gave interviews to the BBC about it. YouTuber Jake Paul has claimed he was physically abused by his dad growing up. Even Logan weighed in. He said Jake is still traumatized to this day about what his dad did. And in fairness, seeing it written on a page actually doesn't do it justice. If you listen to the stories that they tell within the documentary that's going out to the world, well, I think they might speak for themselves.
Our dad would literally lock us out of the house when he would go to work and be like, "I'll be back in 6-7 hours."
That one sounded pretty nostalgic compared to what followed. Greg Paul might be a villain because some of the stuff he was doing is just beyond a joke. He was sending his 2 young sons out to his ex-wife's wedding, and he was basically having them conduct like psychological operations.
He told me that he would like be so upset with me if at my mom's wedding, if I didn't stand up and object to the marriage. And so I was like sitting there the whole wedding, like just like crying basically and waiting until they would like say, "Does anyone object to the vows?" But they never brought that up.
Not that I even need to, but it is hard to articulate how insane that is. Listen, everybody makes mistakes in the heat of the moment. Obviously, the heat of the moment here is his ex-wife's wedding, but he's built up a bit of a track record here. So when you hear the brothers trying to paint him in any sort of positive light, it really just does come across so contrived.
My dad walks the fine line between jackass and badass, but that's exactly the kind of person you want in your corner for fight promo.
Stop talking! You stop talking! You want to give me head?
I think I might speak for everybody when I say no. And honestly, the more I look, the more I find out there isn't a single good clip. I'm not even doing that for the video either. It's just a mess. I didn't know if maybe he was playing it up for the cameras. Then I went to his Instagram and it is just riddled with stuff like this. Can you help me with a trans challenge? Now, I don't know what that would mean, but probably not, mate. Probably not. You know what? None of this actually matters because as I'm working through the documentary, they actually eventually found a solution to the Greg Paul problem.
You know, as a parent, if you're not chucking shit at your kids, you're doing it wrong.
I thought to invite my dad to ayahuasca.
Jake wants me to have an awareness with the past.
Now listen, nuking Greg Paul's 40 IQ brain with ayahuasca, probably not a good idea. Probably the last thing humanity will ever do. I've heard it's quite good for some people, but for Greg, this probably ain't a move. In fact, the writing was on the wall from the start. Even on the jet over, you're supposed to cleanse your system before you do anything. Greg Paul was fiending for a pint, and he weren't happy.
You ordered some drinks.
That's right.
Can't have any drinks.
What?
No beer? Leading up to like the ayahuasca?
Yeah. Dude, listen. I've done acid and blow and mushrooms, all kinds of other shit.
This clip also did bits on TikTok and people were actually quite concerned. And it's all self-inflicted. The Paul family themselves have made it known that Greg Paul used to slap him around. You know it's bad when Jake is embarrassed. Jake's trauma is showing. And at this point, and it might be controversial, I actually kind of feel bad for Jake. Because all of the stuff we've seen so far aside, he is fighting a war on two fronts here. Because alongside all this, it's made very clear that Logan Paul is definitely cut from the same cloth as his dad.
Don't get why Logan treats me this way. It's sociopathic level lack of empathy for his younger brother. And he's constantly trying to tear me down.
And you just seems straight off the bat that they're just playing this up. It is a reality TV show. Obviously, everything is going to be dialed up to 10. But in this instance, there is enough of a paper trail from the past. We can probably assume this just to be his genuine feelings. On this front, there are like a lot of trivial clips flying around. This might seem stupid, but in the Paul clan, this is considered the greatest disrespect. No hate, but they're not blessed with great hairlines. And to do that to him when he's on the world stage, there's a lingering resentment there. And I say it was the greatest disrespect. It's not. Logan kinda, slept with his girlfriend.
I took his girl, bro. His ex-girlfriend. I got her in my video.
Well, and then not only that, you slept with her.
Oh, yeah.
The nonchalance of it is admittedly pretty funny. This is from another documentary they did. Logan Paul kind of got duped into doing a in-depth with Graeme Bessinger, who knows. Either way, it's clear that despite many years having passed, there is clearly resentment bubbling under the surface about what happened.
And he, out of nowhere, he brought up that I hooked up with your girlfriend. I have to defend myself. I was given the permission. And by the way,
That's not true at all. He's in denial. He's in denial.
No.
Doing it is probably enough in itself. The act could have just stopped there. But then claiming that he was given the go-ahead by his own brother. I understand that LA brain will make you do some terrible things, but that's another level.
There's a group chat. I have receipts.
He's in denial.
You know it's true.
You could take it to the grave, brother.
Jake and I may have differing stories here. He seemed to think they were girlfriend and boyfriend, but was unwilling to do it publicly, and she seemed to think that they were on like free terms or whatever.
See, you only thought she was your girlfriend, mate. In response to that, I'm gonna crush you forever. Even Greg Paul weighed in on this, and when Greg Paul thinks you've gone too far, it's probably fair to say that you have indeed gone too far.
You damaged Jake in a way that no other person in the world can do, and you can never take it back. And I said, and I don't care what Jake says, that's going to hurt him for a long time.
It's a traumatise off between Logan and Greg. I don't even know who's won either. Let me know in the comments, because admittedly, it is tight. But at this point, you can just tell that the underlying resentment does just bleed into basically all of their interactions.
You are truly a gaslighting, delusional, ego-driven narcissist who I can't even trust, man. You need a lot of help. I pray for you. Yeah, so then I said...
You are surrounded by yes men who will do anything to make the next check off you. Moral compass skewed in directions I'll never understand. Lie to yourself and your friends and call me a narcissist. Grab a mirror fan.
Seems fun. And also, it seems sustainable. I think they're just perfectly content in being these villains now. In fact, they repeat this sentiment like 3 or 4 times every episode.
I understand, Michael. People are just waiting for us to lose and fail.
I feel like you guys have turned it into a business.
You monetize the hate. The currency isn't being liked. The currency is attention.
Now, after Logan Paul's track record, I don't think he ever had a choice. So dressing it up as like some master plan is just inherently corny. But you know what? I'll give him credit where it's due. I guess you really can't do anything with enough attention.
I could blow up all of LA right now with a button. I'd